The royal family of AmaXhosa Kingdom have asked the spirit of their fallen monarch, King Zwelonke Sigcawu, to guide them. This emerged during a ritual of the repatriation of the body of the king. The AmaXhosa monarch departed on Thursday morning at the age of 51 at Nelson Mandela Academic Hospital in Mthatha. The body was fetched from Nelson Mandela Academic Hospital mortuary to be taken home to the Nqadu Great Palace. Our reporter Atule Joka has been following the story, and we're now going to cross live there to him. Atule, a very good afternoon to you. Just as a start, take us through what's happening now. We understand that there has been a ritual to repatriate the king's body from Nelson Mandela Academic Hospital. What is currently happening?
Well, indeed, good afternoon to you, Flo, and a good afternoon to SABC News viewers at large. Well, the Royal Kingdom of AmaXhosa came to the Nelson Mandela Academic Hospital, where the king had passed away on Thursday morning, to come and repatriate his body and also to do a process, a ritual, which is to take his spirit back to his home. What they call it is that they are connecting his body and spirit so that he doesn't bother the people that he is leaving behind. They've performed rituals there. They had a branch of a leaf which is called in Xhosa as Mthatha, where they will lead the way to say, we are coming here to take your spirit and then we will lead it home. You mustn't bother these people that you were with here for this short time, but we are taking you home. And along the way they will stop by in places such as Duja to say, this is not your home as well. We are taking you home to your ancestors, to come back home and also to be a good ancestor. This is a custom and a belief amongst the AmaXhosa nation. They're also saying that when they get home, they believe that their ancestral is very gallant. They are people who are fighters. So they are hoping that the king will also be a good ancestor, an ancestor that will path a way for them, an ancestor that will guide them through the difficulties that they are facing. We do know that the big elephant in the room at the moment, as the issue of the succession debate, is not as easy as it may seem, because you do know that in a traditional culture, when a king has passed away, it is usually sometimes easy to take a son who is a firstborn to become a leading heir, to take over the reins, but it may seem not to be the case at this stage. If I can take you back a bit, Flo, in 2005, the father of King Zwelonke, who has just passed away in 2005, and then King Zwelonke took the reins in 2006, but it took him a long time until 2015, where he was coronated by President Jacob Zuma, in the presence of President Jacob Zuma. So there were debacles around. There were arguments and as who is likely to ascend into power officially until he had ascended to power. So another son of a king, Nqadu, might be announced as a regent tomorrow. But at the same time, one of the wives of the king also has a son who is here. It will also be interesting how that will unfold. Who will take over the reins and become the king come tomorrow, Flo?
All right. I mean, one would think that when it comes to monarchy issues, it's the first son, the oldest son, who takes over from the father. Why has there been so much? And I don't know if you even use the word contestation when it comes to the monarch, but why has there been that sort of contestation? And I suppose at this point, his oldest son won't have an easy route to the kingdom, as was the case for him taking over from his father, as you've spoken about.
Yeah, it is quite an interesting flow, because what I heard as well was that the son is very young. I think he's only 2 years old. So his mother is likely to take over as a regent until he is grown and become a fully grown man to take over the reins. But also there was a contestation even before this fallen monarch had passed on, before he had ascended to power, that one of the sons, two other wives of King Nqadu, who is the father to the king, was likely to ascend to power. So there are those dynamics that will play out, but the family has asked for respect during this time of mourning. They are saying they want to handle this matter with dignity as possible. So we will just wait from their side and see who will come out. So if a controversy broke out tomorrow, it is something that will be expected as well. Another a contestation issue, a flow that has been bandied around and discussed upon is the issue of the burial, the category of a burial, official burial that will be afforded to the king. As the Deputy Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Mr. Obed Papela, did announce yesterday that as government, they do not have a policy in place which accords kings those official funerals. So he did say that this funeral will be a catalyst for them to sort of develop a model for the kings. So a type of funeral that will be afforded to a king here, it is a model that will be used for other kings in future, because he was saying that other kings were coronated during the colonial era. So what happened was that they were deemed as deemed kings. They were not official kings that were coronated by presidents under the democratic dispensation. So those are the dynamics that are quite interesting that will pan out. But I can tell you that today the spirit of the king was taken here in a ritual by the Xhosa royal family. Flo.
All right, and I also just want to ask you in terms of the mood in Mthatha at the moment. I mean, are we talking about a king who was very much loved by his people? I can imagine that there's been much praise at this time for the king. Can I ask you at this point just to take us through some of some of those accolades that of course you would have been hearing a lot of as you report on this?
Yes, a king, as I have said, tributes have been coming in from across the depths of the country and even beyond. The president of the country and the premier have described the king as someone with fortitude, someone who was very gallant, and someone who was straightforward, who spoke his mind. So for his people, he was an activist. For his people, he had fought for them. They really revered him. So he was loved. And like I said, all the days that we've been going to Nqadu Great Palace, we've been driving through, the mood has been somber. Everyone has been down. You could tell. This other gentleman was joking with me. He said, Atule, you can tell that even the animals here, the dogs, are very down to just signal that a very important member of that community, a leader, a big tree has fallen, and his sound has surely reverberated throughout the country. So he was someone who was an advocate for development in his area. He had always mentioned that he was quite controversial at times. I remember one time I was there when Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma was campaigning for presidency. He did say also in his present at the time that maybe he didn't think we were ready for a female president. He did say that in the present of the candidate for presidency during her campaign. So you can tell that this was a man who spoke his mind at a time when it was maybe sometimes not fashionable to do so. Also, the president, Cyril Ramaphosa, did go there during his campaign. He did say that, you know what, maybe next time you must not use your choppers. You must drive through these roads to experience what my people and I experience on a daily basis. So this was a man of his word, a man of fortitude, and a gallant fighter who will be remembered by his people.
All right, Flo. Well, Atule, a question I've been sort of running away from, but I think it's important just to ask nonetheless, because I've been seeing a lot of this on social media. The question, and perhaps maybe a controversial one that has been raised by several people, the fact that a king, an African king, passes away in a government hospital, and a lot of people asking, surely a king, I mean, at this stage he was only 51, which means that this is quite an unexpected death. The question being, why was he not given access to the best medical care, as one would imagine someone who is in royalty to have had access to? Has that question come up in the Eastern Cape, in Mthatha, and what is the answer? And perhaps it's an easy answer, but I think it's important that I just pose that question nonetheless, given the fact that it is something that I have noticed is being asked.
Yeah, this is a question that has taken most of the people aback, and we did hear that they've waited for the ambulance for 6 hours before it could arrive. They also did call for an airlift to come and pick up the king, but they were told that the weather was very gloomy, so the airlift couldn't come and pick up the king. So this was those are the reasons that they're given at the time. But the Royal Kingdom did ask us to please come through tomorrow, because all the government departments will be there to try and sort out those issues, and also maybe clarity will be provided on some of those issues as to why that has happened.
All right, Atule, thank you very much for that, and we'll certainly be probing and asking more questions about that. No doubt SABC will be carrying that story for us. So that's Atule Joka, SABC reporter. He's stationed at Mthatha for us, and of course giving us the latest as to the repatriation process of the king.